going on, guys? It's Steve. So who is going to meet up with the Cleveland Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference Finals? Now, I only have 4 teams that even stand a chance right now in the East, and truly there are only 2 of those 4 that actually stand a chance. Now, it's obviously all going to come down to matchups. It's also going to come down to luck, and it's going to come down to seeding. Because let's say the New York Knicks are hypothetically an 8th seed. They play, which I don't think they will be. I still think they'll be a top seed. But if they play the Cavaliers in the first round, bye-bye Knicks. If the Celtics play the Cavs in the first round, bye-bye Celtics. If the Bulls play the Cavs in the first round, bye-bye Chicago. If the Atlanta Hawks play the Cavs in the first round, bye-bye Atlanta. Yes, I think Atlanta is competing in the East. I don't think they're going to win. I think New York is competing. I don't think they'll win. I think Chicago's competing. I don't think they'll win. And I think Boston is competing, but they also will not win because Cleveland will. Now, the thing that I think is the thing that stands out to most people and that speaks to most people and that most people understand without calling me biased is the fact that the Boston Celtics and the Atlanta Hawks don't have the power to compete with players to the likes of Carmelo Anthony, Kristaps Porzingis, Dwyane Wade, and Jimmy Butler. Let's not even mention, and that's not even let's mention and not forget about Derrick Rose, because last night against Portland, he proved that he still got it and that he can still come up clutch, because he was clutch. It wasn't Porzingis, it was him, and it was Melo in the fourth quarter with the time ticking down. It wasn't Porzingis. And it wasn't Melo. Melo had a nice clutch tip, but the dude that made like 3 or 4 shots in the last 2 minutes, it was Derrick Rose. But I would also like to say this. A lot of you guys have been asking me to do, the most entertaining NBA Finals series. That video will be up probably Saturday. Saturday it'll be up. Now, remember, I'm saying this because I've been noticing, and this is kind of why I'm kind of slowly straying away of just talking about simply basketball all the time, trying to implement my personality onto this channel. But I've been slowly noticing that there are YouTubers out there bigger than me for now. they're big now. But anyway, pause. They have a larger fan base than me right now. And they're like going through my videos. And they're stealing my ideas of my older videos. But I'm not going to call anyone out because it's not worth it. I don't give a damn. Go ahead. I don't care. Go ahead. I don't want to get disrespectful, but I will destroy their channels. We are going to be the best YouTube channel on the planet. I interact with you guys because I love you guys. We got this. We got this, guys. I'm telling you guys. I promise you guys. We got this, man. But anyway, back to the topic. So that's why, I'm trying to diverge from just strictly talking about basketball. I'm still gonna, basketball's still a huge part of the channel, but more in real life stuff and things like that. But so the most entertaining NBA Finals series will probably be up either Friday or Saturday. But I would like to say this: no one can compete with Carmelo Anthony, Kristaps Porzingis, Derrick Rose, Jimmy Butler, and Dwyane Wade. Specifically, just Melo, D Rose, and Dwyane Wade, except one man in the Eastern. 2. But again, I don't think the Pacers will have bad luck because I don't think they're going to be a high enough seed to get out of the first round. Because let's say they play, the Cleveland Cavaliers in the first round, or let's say Atlanta second, and they play Atlanta. I think Atlanta will be Indiana, But Paul George can also compete, so I have to put Paul George on that list because I can't be disrespectful. He can compete. But I just don't think he'll be a high enough seed, so that's why I didn't really have him in this conversation. But don't think I'm leaving him out, because I know he can compete in the playoffs. So there's only, if it's not LeBron, if it's not Melo, and if it's not D Wade in the East that I want, it's Paul George. Let's be real. This dude shows up in the playoffs. But back to the topic. So I don't think anyone on Atlanta can really keep up with, Melo or D Wade, because we all know they do their thing in the playoffs, and with Porzingis averaging 21 right now, and then Derrick Rose doing his thing, averaging like 15, and then you have Dwyane Wade that last year showed he's still Dwyane Wade, and that Jimmy Butler who's averaging like 26, 7, and 4, both ends of the court. This dude is so underrated. I even underrated him. I overlooked him. This dude is a freaking biblical beast. He's becoming one of my favorite players watching him. He's elite. So the thing that Atlanta does have, though, is the front court. Atlanta's front court will really help them out with Dwight Howard still showing that he's elite. He's a great player. I'm glad that he's showing that he's still elite because a lot of people doubted him. I didn't, and I defended him. I'm glad that he's showing people he's still, the best big man in the NBA. But yeah, well, at least one of the best big men in the NBA. And, him and Paul Millsap, that's like one of the best front courts in the league. Then you have Dennis Schroeder, a great young point guard. You have Kyle Korver, who has that playoff experience. He's a veteran. He's been in the league for 10-plus years, one of the best shooters in NBA history. So they're going to do their thing. They have a deep bench. They're good. The Boston Celtics, they're good as well. They have elite defenders in Crowder. They have Marcus Smart. They have Isaiah Thomas who can put up numbers. They have Al Horford that can average around 14, 15, get rebounds, and play some solid defense in the interior. They have a good team. Then you have the New York Knicks that are starting to get together. I'm not liking how the Joakim Noah situation is playing out, but, he's all right. He's grabbing a lot of rebounds, but some games I'm like, what the hell is up with this guy? But, the season just started. We have a whole way to go. But yeah, so, the Knicks situation, Melo, he's probably going to average 25 plus in the playoffs. Porzingis hopefully will average around 20, and Derrick Rose hopefully average around 20, maybe a little less, around 17, 18, but still, that's hard to compete with. And then you also have the bench that's doing their thing right now. Hernan Gomez is getting better. Kuzminskas is getting better. By the way, if you guys want to start watching like the games and stuff, and you want to like say Hernan Gomez's first name, it's not Willie. I've heard a lot of people say Willie. It's not Willie. It's actually pronounced Billy. I know it's spelled with a W, but it's actually pronounced Billy, and even then, that's not even his real name. But yeah, so the bench is getting good. Kyle Quinn developed that mid-range jump shot. I love him. Defense, he can shoot that mid-range shot, spread the floor now. If Melo's off, KP is there. If KP is off, Derrick Rose is there. Melo's in awe right now with Porzingis. Porzingis, man, I did not expect him to take this big of a leap. I predicted around 18 and 10, but I didn't expect 21, 22 points per game. He's taking a big leap, man. And it's starting to be like, okay, wait a minute. Melo's still the number one option, but let's be real for a second. Porzingis, he needs to get a lot of shots too, which is why Melo's shooting less. He's shooting like 17 times per game, like a career low. And he's still averaging 23, which is crazy. But yeah, so the Knicks, and you have Chicago with Dwayne Wade showing that he could still do his thing in the playoffs. D Wade is a freaking biblical beast, one of the greatest ever, one of the GOATs, top 3 shooting guard in NBA history. Then you have Jimmy Butler, who's so guys, I'm literally falling in love with his play style. This guy Jimmy Butler is really underrated. I'm starting to think that he's a top 10 player in the world. To be honest, I actually think he is. I might have to change my list up a little bit in a few weeks and update the list because, it was early in the season, but what he's doing is absolutely ridiculous. He's killing it. He's doing his thing. So in terms of that, it all depends on seedings and matchups. But just from a prediction, I say it's either going to be Chicago or New York. And now we have the situation of who's going to put up the most points, because both teams are solid defensively. The Knicks are getting better. I know they were awful to start the season, but they're getting better defensively. The Bulls are a great defensive team. They're great offensively. They have a really deep bench. Mirotic, I really like that guy. He can spread the floor, shoot. He can get rebounds. He can play solid defense. He can mid-range, post-game. He's three-point shooter. He's great. Doug McBuckets is doing his thing. You know what I mean? This team, they're good, man. Rondo's there, the NBA champion. Ooh, he's doing his thing, you know what I mean? So it's great, man. D Wade's doing his thing. Jimmy Buckets is doing his thing. So if it comes down to these two teams playing in the Eastern Conference semifinals, to be honest, even as a Knicks fan, it's going to go to 7 games. It definitely is. And for the first time, we'll see D Wade versus Melo. Now, obviously, D Wade is not young D Wade, so he's not going to be guarding Melo, because back in the day, D Wade used to guard Melo and Kobe and LeBron and T-Mac. D Wade, even with that 4-inch disadvantage on his side, he still used to guard those 6'6", 6'7", 6'8" players like with ease. Paul Pierce, T-Mac, Melo, LeBron. He used to do his thing, man. But yeah, so if it comes down to there, Eastern Conference semifinals, these two teams, to see who goes on to play Cleveland. To be honest, it's going to go to 7 games, and I don't know who's going to win. It's too early in the season to tell. Injuries can happen. You never know, and I really hope no injuries happen this postseason, because I want to see an exciting postseason. I don't want to see Chris Paul get injured. I want to see him go up against Stephen Curry in the Western Conference Eastern Conference. This always happens to me. I was doing so good, and I start stuttering. Jeez, man. I'm such a spaz. But anyway, I want to see Chris Paul versus Stephen Curry and Blake Griffin. Obviously, they're not going to guard each other, but Blake Griffin and Kevin Durant go at it in the Western Conference Finals. That's what I want to see. But who's going to challenge Cleveland? It's either going to be Chicago or New York, just in terms of star power. But even then, the only chance either of those teams have of beating them is if Carmelo does something spectacular, which he is more than capable of doing, but he's going to need help. So if Melo decides to average 35, KP is going to have to average around 25, and Derrick Rose 20. And our bench is going to have to do their thing. And Joakim Noah is going to have to average 10-plus rebounds. Or if D-Wade and Jimmy Butler and Rondo and Mirotic and the rest of them, they want to compete with Cleveland and they want to, do their thing and beat Cleveland, D-Wade's going to have to do what he did against Charlotte. What's his name? D-Wade's going to have to guard Kyrie to be actually, Rondo could do it because Rondo's a really good defender. Or Jimmy Butler can switch. But D-Wade and Jimmy Butler are going to switch on and off between LeBron. And Jimmy Butler's going to have to average 30 and D-Wade's going to have to average close to 30 because in order to compete with those three kings over there in Cleveland, it's going to be hard because Kevin Love is doing his thing. He's proving that he's still one of the best big men in the league. I never doubted him. I said he was still good. They just didn't use him right, and they're using him right now. And look, he's averaging, 22 and 10? And Kyrie's averaging like 23, and LeBron's averaging 25. This is crazy. This is the most help LeBron has ever had in his life. And to be honest, I don't see how he can be beaten. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. He's never had this much help in his life. Not even in last year's finals did he have. He only had Kyrie, really, because Kevin Love had really bad luck. And now that Kevin Love's doing his thing, 5-6 games he could probably beat the Golden State Warriors. That's how good he is. So I don't know, man. But anyway, if anyone's going to do it, it's either New York or Chicago. Both of those teams, they're really good. I don't know, man. It's going to have to be either one of those teams. Melo's going to have to do his thing, and Jimmy Butler's going to have to do his thing. T-Wade's going to have to do his thing. It's going to be a lot of pieces. I really want to see Chicago versus New York in the semifinals, come to think of it. That would be really interesting. And, just some predictions to see, obviously, Jimmy Butler would have to guard Melo, and Melo's going to be on Jimmy Butler because I've already seen that Coach Hornacek trusts Melo on the defensive end. Then the only problem I have with Carmelo, and I've said this before, and a lot of you guys said it's not an excuse, which I actually agree with. It's not. But Carmelo Anthony doesn't try on defense unless he's going up against another star player. And that's proof. There's proof for that. There's a reason why he holds LeBron to lower career averages. There's reasons why, LeBron struggles. Not struggles. LeBron still does his thing, but he doesn't play as well as he does against scrubs. Well, not scrubs, but against other elite defenders against Carmelo, because Carmelo actually tries, against star players. It's proven. You can look it up, the head-to-head stats. Look at Melo versus KD and things like that. So there's proof for that. But at the same time, it's like you always have to try. You have to be that leader. You have to show that leadership. So sometimes I'm like, Melo, stop being lazy. And by the way, I'm feeling good today. I would like to tell you guys this. I'm just going to stray away for a second. I would like to tell you guys this. I know that in some of my videos, I've said this before, but I think maybe some of you guys forgot this. But in some of my videos, if you guys ever see me or hear me talking crazy or something bananas, I told you guys. I have some issues. I'm not going to sit and act like I don't. I do. It's clearly evident in the way I act. It's evident. I'm a spaz. I have some mental issues. I've been through a lot of shit. Right? So if you guys ever hear me saying, oh, Carmelo's the second best player in the world, Melo's this, that, or the Knicks are this, guys, I'm not in my right state of mind, so don't take me serious. I have problems, okay? But when I'm talking like this, I'm feeling good. My brain is clicking right now. I'm a smart ass dude though. I have like a close to 4.0 in college, but sometimes I have like a bipolar disorder and depression and all this other crap that never will go away, which fucking sucks. But I'll talk about that in another video, another day when we get bigger on YouTube or whatever. But yeah, so sometimes I get frustrated watching Carmelo because it's like, Melo, like, what are you doing, dog? You're better than that. You're one of the best players ever. 25, 6, and 3. You can't even name 10 other players that have done that. So what is wrong with you? Like, why are you struggling? On defense against scrubs. What was that dude on the Detroit Pistons? Not Marquise. Was it Marquise Morris? No. Tobias Harris, maybe. Either Tobias Harris or Marquise Morris. One of those two. Like, put buckets up on him and, like, literally put buckets. Like, not just 20, but, like, 30. I'm like, Melo, what are you doing? And he's lazy on screens and things. And I'm like, come on, Melo. And by the way, tomorrow is Thanksgiving. So, before Thanksgiving, I would like to say well, actually, by the time you guys are watching this video, it is Thanksgiving. So, I would like to say this. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you guys. I'm going to use this part of the video to just say thank you for everything you guys have done for me. I know you guys are probably like, Steve, shut the F up. You only have 2,600 subscribers. But you guys don't understand how much I appreciate you guys. Me being able to talk to you guys is like therapy. You guys don't even understand. It's like therapy. Without you guys, it would either be me just with some thought. No, I'm just kidding. Me messing with some stupid girls, or me just by myself, because I don't fuck with people. That's the truth. You know, in terms of relationships, like I keep my friends to a minimum. That's the truth, because I don't trust people. You know, in terms of people trying to use me and stuff and things like that, because it's happened so many times. You know, but I don't, you know what I'm saying? So I thank you guys so much. You guys are like therapy to me. I love interacting with you guys. That's why I always reply to comments. That's why I'm always sitting there. Like, some people are like, Steve, what the hell? You're like the only YouTuber that has like 10, 20 different comments with 20 different people, and you reply numerous times to the same people. I do that because I truly appreciate you guys, and I know what it's like to not have someone that, I'm not saying you guys look up to me, but to not have someone that you watch every day, that you like watching, you enjoy watching, that doesn't even reply back. I know how that feels. It sucks. Especially if that person is helping you with your life or getting out of depression. That sucks, you know? So that's why I do my thing and I reply to people. But yeah, so, you know, so thank you guys so much. I appreciate that. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. Enjoy it with your family. Appreciate your family. And yeah, just do your thing, man. Just appreciate your family and do your thing. Anyway, let's go back on to the topic of basketball. This is probably going to be a longer video, maybe 14 minutes. Well, this is already 16 minutes long. We'll probably go another 14, 15 minutes, depending on how long these topics go. But yeah, so what the hell is going on, man? What is going on with the Los Angeles Clippers? And I was actually surprised because, if you guys remember, I actually made a video saying the Los Angeles Clippers are not title contenders. But the way they're playing, they have the best record in the NBA at 13-2. Now, they play the most games, but they still have the best record in the league, which is extraordinary. Chris Paul's doing his thing. Blake Griffin's doing his thing. DeAndre's doing his thing. Jamal Crawford's doing his thing. JJ Redick's doing his thing. The Clippers are doing their thing. They're 13-2 right now against pretty solid teams. You know, they destroyed the Oklahoma. Actually, did OKC beat? I don't remember. But you know, they're playing good right now, man. So if I personally think it's gonna be Los Angeles versus Golden State, you know, in the Western Conference Finals. And people were getting on Greg Popovich saying enough is enough with rude comments, and because he came out, their team won, and he was like, oh, it's a awful performance by my team. We should have blown them out the water. You know, our effort was garbage and things like that. And you know, everyone's hating on him, but guys, not everyone, but a lot of the reporters on ESPN, and yeah, that's ESPN for you. But yeah, a lot of those people are like, it's enough already, you know, like it's ridiculous. Like, they played well, they won. But the thing is, do you want to just stay at the same standard, or do you want to get better and better? Like, that's what's wrong with people. You know, that's why I love Greg Popovich. And guys, this dude is a 5-time champion for a reason. There's a reason why the Spurs have won a championship in 3 different decades. There's a reason why Tim Duncan has 5 NBA championships. There's a reason why the Spurs are still good and relevant. Because of, well, good management. And because of Greg Popovich. There's a reason for that. Him resting his players. You think under any other coach Tim Duncan would have lasted that long? Do you think under any other coach Kawhi Leonard would have developed the way that he did? Do you think under any other coach that Tony Parker and Manu would still be playing without Tim Duncan? Come on. You know, there's a reason for everything. I think he's a great coach. I love that he's getting at them and he still wants them to get better, and he's still upset that even though they won, it was a bad effort, actually. People were saying, oh, it was him with his rotate. No. You know, they should have blown the Dallas Mavericks out of the water. You know, there's no reason why it should have came down to a final shot. I know it's the NBA and it comes down to who's making shots. It's a make or miss league. I understand that. But at the same time, it's like, guys, you know, the San Antonio Spurs are supposed to be one of the top teams in the league, and you're telling me they can't, you know, I think LaMarcus Aldridge sat that game as well, but you telling me that they can't blow the Mavericks out of the water? Come on, man. It shouldn't have gone down to that last possession against them. That's pretty much what he's saying. The effort was awful. You know, so I agree with him. And I saw highlights of the game. I didn't see the entire game, so portions of it. I skimmed through it. I canceled my league pass though because that thing was acting up. Yeah. But anyway, actually it's sort of like the college connection really. But so there's a reason for that. I think Greg Popovich, he's a great coach. I'm not worried about anything. Now, the Golden State Warriors on an 8-game winning streak. They're doing their thing. This is scary. Kevin Durant's doing his thing. Klay Thompson, guys. We're talking about Kevin Love, LeBron, and Kyrie averaging over 20. KD, Curry, and Klay Thompson, they're all averaging over 20. KD's averaging 27. Steph Curry's averaging 27. Klay Thompson's averaging 20. He is on freaking fire right now. He just had an 18-point third quarter. This dude is elite, on both ends of the court. So, and by the way, when I made that video saying that Klay Thompson is more valuable than Stephen Curry, I was acting retarded. I don't like to use that word, but I wasn't in my right state of mind because let's be real. Come on, Curry's top 3 player in the world right now. But yeah, so this team, man, there's no competition right now for them in the Western Conference. I mean, the Clippers are good, but offensively, the only team that can even keep up with them is the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I'm not saying the New York Knicks are going to make it to the NBA Finals, but I'm saying if Melo in the playoffs can somehow average around 28 and KP averages like 22 and Derrick Rose 20, then there's a chance for the Knicks to keep up with them offensively. But even then, they don't have the depth to keep up. Well, I don't know. But the only team that can beat the Warriors in a best of 7 is the Cleveland Cavaliers. Hands down. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. So excuse that last statement that I said about the Knicks. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. The only team that can compete with them are the Cleveland Cavaliers. And in fact, I should say that the other way around because the only team that can compete with the Cleveland Cavaliers are the Golden State Warriors. Anyway, guys, I've gone on too long. I know I said it's probably going to be around 30 minutes long, but 21 minutes. I hope you guys enjoyed. It's been Steve. I'm out of here. Peace.